The serving spoon clattered against my grandmother's china as my sister's declaration hung in the air like smoke from the burnt turkey. "Give me your spare key," she announced, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against the mahogany table. "MOM says I'm moving in Monday." 27 years of being the responsible daughter. The one who paid her bills, kept her promises, never asked for handouts. And this was my reward? I reached into my purse, pulled out a brass key, and slid it across the table, watching it leave a tiny scratch on the polished wood. Sure, but that's to the old place. I moved out last week. The silence that followed was so complete I could hear the neighbor's football game through the dining room walls. My mother dropped her wine glass. Not dramatically, just a small fumble that sent Merlot spreading across the white tablecloth like blood on snow. My sister Vanessa's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air, her confident smile melting faster than the butter on her untouched dinner roll. "What do you mean, the old place?" Mom's voice came out strangled, nothing like the authoritative tone she'd used an hour earlier when she'd informed me, not asked, informed, that Vanessa would be moving into my house because family helps family. I carefully cut another piece of turkey, making sure each bite had the perfect ratio of meat to cranberry sauce. The way Grandma taught me before she died and left me the only thing that mattered. Not money, not jewelry, but wisdom about knowing when to hold your cards and when to play them. "I mean, I don't live there anymore," I said, keeping my voice as neutral as if I were discussing the weather. "Closed on the sale Friday. The new owners take possession Monday morning." Vanessa's fork hit her plate with a sharp clink. "You sold our house?" "My house," I corrected gently, "has been for the past 5 years. You know, since I bought it with my own money while you were finding yourself in Europe on Mom and Dad's dime." The dining room in my parents' colonial had never felt smaller. 8 people around a table meant for 12. And suddenly it seemed like we were all breathing the same molecule of air. Dad hadn't said a word yet, just kept methodically eating his green beans like his life depended on maintaining that rhythm. Uncle Pete shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Aunt Sandra suddenly found her napkin fascinating. "You can't sell the house," Mom stated, as if saying it firmly enough would make it true. "We discussed this. Vanessa needs a place to stay while she gets back on her feet." I almost laughed. Gets back on her feet. That was Mom's euphemism for Vanessa's third failed business venture in 5 years. This time it was a boutique wellness center that went under after she spent the investment money on a trip to Bali to center her chakras. "When did we discuss this?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because I remember you calling me yesterday to tell me Vanessa was moving in." "That's not a discussion. That's a proclamation." "Don't be dramatic, Sophia." Mom waved her hand dismissively. "Family helps family. You have that big house all to yourself." "Had," I interrupted. "Past tense. And your sister needs help. I assumed you'd be happy to share." There it was. The assumption. The same assumption that had governed my entire life. Sophia will handle it. Sophia will pay for it. Sophia will clean up the mess. Sophia will sacrifice because that's what good daughters do. "You assumed," I repeated, letting the words hang in the air like icicles. "Like you assumed I'd pay for Vanessa's yoga certification. Like you assumed I'd co-sign her business loan. Like you assumed I'd keep funding her lifestyle while she discovered her passion." Vanessa's face flushed red. "That's not fair. I've been going through a rough patch. A rough patch that's lasted since college," I said. "Which I also paid for, by the way, after you dropped out twice." "Sophia." Dad finally spoke, his voice sharp. "That's enough." I turned to look at him, really look at him. When had he gotten so gray? When had the lines around his eyes become so deep? But more importantly, when had he decided that keeping peace meant always sacrificing the same daughter? "Is it enough, Dad?" "Because I don't think it is. I think we're just getting started." I stood up, walked to the sideboard where Mom kept her good silver, and picked up the pie server. The pumpkin pie sat there, perfect and untouched, waiting for its moment. I cut myself a generous slice, not caring that we hadn't cleared the dinner plates yet. "You want to know what I find fascinating?" I said, returning to my seat with my dessert. "In 5 years, not one of you has visited my house without needing something. Mom, you came by when you needed me to store Vanessa's furniture. Dad, you only showed up when your car broke down and you needed a ride. And Vanessa? You've been there exactly 3 times, each time to ask for money." "That's not," Vanessa started. "March 15th, you needed $3,000 for a meditation retreat that would transform your business model. June 2nd, you needed $5,000 for inventory that never materialized. September 28th, you needed 8,000 for. What was it? Oh, right, a marketing guru who turned out to be a scam artist. The table was silent except for the sound of my fork against the plate as I ate my pie. It was perfect, the ratio of spice to sweetness exactly right. Some things, at least, remained constant. Where did you move? Mom finally asked, her voice small. Downtown, I said. A lovely condo with a doorman and security. The kind of place where people can't just show up and demand things. But the house, Vanessa's voice cracked. Where am I supposed to go? I reached into my purse again, this time pulling out a folded piece of paper. Funny thing about assumptions. While you all assumed I'd always be there to catch you, I assumed you'd eventually grow up. We were both wrong. I unfolded the paper and placed it in front of Vanessa. This is a list of apartment complexes with units available. I've included ones that match what you can afford on a barista salary, which, by the way, Starbucks is hiring. I'm not working at Starbucks, Vanessa shrieked. I'm an entrepreneur. No, I said quietly. You're a 32-year-old woman who's never held a job for more than 6 months. There's a difference. Mom stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. How dare you speak to your sister like that? After everything this family has done for you. What? I genuinely wanted to know. What has this family done for me, Mom? Please make a list. I'll wait. Her mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. I'll help you, I continued. Dad taught me to work hard. I'll give you that. Of course, he also taught me that my work should subsidize Vanessa's dreams while my own were put on hold. You taught me to be responsible, which translated to being responsible for everyone else's mistakes. We gave you everything. Mom's voice rose to near hysteria. No, I said, standing up myself now. You gave Vanessa everything. You gave me expectations. There's a difference, and I'm done pretending there isn't. I gathered my purse and coat, moving with deliberate calm. At the doorway, I turned back to see them all still frozen in place, a tableau of dysfunction in candlelight. You know what the really sad part is? I said, if any of you had asked, really asked, not demanded, I would have helped. If Vanessa had shown up with a real business plan, a budget, any sign of taking responsibility, I'd have been her biggest supporter. If you'd called and said, Sophia, your sister's in trouble, can we talk about options? We'd be having a very different conversation. So you're just abandoning your family? Dad's voice was cold. No, Dad. I'm establishing boundaries. If you can't see the difference, that's exactly why I need them. I looked at Vanessa one last time. That key I gave you? It really is to my old place. Apartment 3B on Maple Street. I lived there during college while I worked 3 jobs to pay for my degree. It's available if you want it. $700 a month, utilities included. The landlord's number is on that paper I gave you. Her face cycled through confusion, anger, and something that might have been shame. But she started. It's the same apartment I lived in while I saved for my house down payment, I continued. The same place I studied for my CPA exam. The same place I built my career from nothing while you were finding yourself. Maybe you'll find something there too. I left them there in the dining room with their cold turkey and warm resentments. The November air hit my face like a wake-up call as I walked to my car. My phone was already buzzing, Mom, Dad, Vanessa, even Uncle Pete. I turned it off. The drive to my new condo took 20 minutes. 20 minutes of blessed silence, of no one asking for anything, of no expectations beyond keeping my car between the lines. The building doorman greeted me with a professional smile that expected nothing in return. Happy Thanksgiving, Ms. Morrison. Happy Thanksgiving, James. My condo was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Clean, quiet mine. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over the city lights. The furniture I'd chosen because I liked it, not because it was on sale or practical for others to use. The art on the walls that spoke to me, not chosen to impress anyone else. I poured myself a glass of wine. The good stuff I'd never felt free to open at the old house because someone might drop by and expect me to share. Tomorrow there would be consequences. Tomorrow there would be angry phone calls and guilt trips and extended family members recruited to talk sense into me. But tonight I had pie for dinner in my own space, where no one could demand my keys or my compliance. The city sparkled below me, full of people making their own choices, living their own lives. Finally, I was one of them. My phone, still off, sat silent on the counter. Somewhere across town, my family was probably still sitting at that table, trying to figure out how to fix their Vanessa problem without their usual solution. Maybe they'd learn something. Maybe they wouldn't. Either way, it was no longer my problem to solve. I raised my glass to the window, to the night, to the woman I'd finally decided to become. Happy Thanksgiving, I whispered to my reflection. For the first time in my life, it actually was. The best part? On Monday morning, when Vanessa inevitably showed up at my old house with her carload of belongings and that key I'd given her, she'd find the new owners. A young couple expecting their first child, ready to fill that space with their own dreams. They'd gotten a good deal on the place, and I'd gotten something priceless, my freedom. Sometimes the best gift you can give your family is the opportunity to stand on their own feet. Even if they don't see it that way. Even if they never thank you for it. Especially then,